All right, good morning. I am going to be starting this meeting now. We are being recorded. Hey, Sam, how's it going? And then I will put it up on the channel. Today we are going to be talking about the application of the tools of artistic critique, as well as talking a little bit about the whole deal with the PowerPoint things that everybody's doing. One thing that is really nice is we have two people that have already done their PowerPoints, one on Andy Goldsworthy and one on David Oliveira. And what I really like is that both of these are very well done. And it's in a large class, you always get like one example where you're just kind of embarrassed for the person, but that has not happened. Both of these are really good. And I really appreciate that. Of course, if I was embarrassed for the person, I probably wouldn't say that because the class is so small, but the reality is both of them are very good. So I'm going to, Sam, would you let me know, please, if this works? I'm going to do a screen share and show, oh, hi, Kara. I'm going, and Jacob, excellent. I'm going to show the video link that I sent yesterday, and it's a really good example of application of those tools. And they pretty much go right down the list. And let's see if it works. We're going to watch it, and then we're going to talk about it a little bit. Just grabbing my pen here. Abby, good to see you. First code word of the day is banana. It's actually a Tongan word. It's like banana, but with an F. And it means, are you ready for this? Banana. Okay, Sam, we got you. Abby, got you down.
Oh, wait, no, it was on the quiz.
Jacob, got you down. And Kira. Excellent. Okay, I'm going to do screen share now. I need you guys to tell me if you can hear the sound on this guy.
Has his midterm and finals.
Okay, hold on a second.
All artist identification.
Oh, okay.
Piece of art that's very stereotypical.
Okay. All right, guys, let me know if you hear this. Can you guys see the screen? It says Smart History on the video.
Yeah, we can see it.
All right, excellent. Could you hear the piano music?
No, I can't hear it.
Okay, I'm going to try again, and let's see if you can hear it. If not, we'll just. Okay, can anybody hear the noise, the sound?
I couldn't.
Okay. Oh, that's unfortunate. What I'm going to do is then I'll just have everybody watch that video over the weekend, and we'll talk about it on Monday. And let me show you what the video will look like. Hey, Lydia, good to see you. So we're just going to watch the first minute or so of the video, even if it doesn't have sound. I don't know how. I thought I was hitting all the right buttons and tweaking everything correctly so that you could see here, so you could see the sound in the video. Okay, the opening of the video, they're saying that as you look at something, when you are able to describe it, and as you are able to describe it more and more clearly, you're able to see it more and more clearly as well. And this video is only about 6.5 minutes long, I sent a link to everybody. I will send it again with today's meeting link. Make sure that you watch that, and we will talk about it on Monday. So that was a big part of what I was hoping to talk about today. I also wanted to show you another thing. One of the playlists that we have set up is PowerPoints. And I want to show you this playlist. These are by Lydia did one and Kira did one. And these are both exceptionally well done. At no point do you actually see the person who's narrating, and they aren't giving a bio of the artist. They aren't reading each slide or anything like that. What is really nice is you're able to see the person's work. You learn where they went to school and how that and where they live and how that affects their work, how it drives it, how it informs it. And it shows just some, they talk about some really good examples of projects that these two artists have been working on. So Lydia and Kira, thank you very much. You guys did a great job. Well, what you'll do for the PowerPoint presentation is record it, send me the file, and then I will go through and upload it onto our class channel, just like this. And I'm really pleased that everybody did such a great job. Now, I am going to switch a little bit and show you. So here's the first block meetings is another playlist that we have. But if you go down, the fourth one down says applying the tools of artistic critique, that playlist. I would like you to go through this and watch 3 of these videos. Can everybody see this on the screen share? This playlist?
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. So you see most of these videos, look at them. There's 4 minutes here, 5 minutes there, but most of them are about 3 minutes long. Michael Silva, his is a little over 7 minutes because he did both of them at the same time. The 2 videos, one video is you critique one of your own works, pretending that you've never seen it before. And then the second video is you critique somebody else's work using questions from those 4 steps. All right. Does everybody understand that?
Like your evaluation of the.
Yeah, like my evaluation of the Blender, just going through the steps of artistic critique. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
All right, great. Now, do you have any questions on the either of those 2 assignments? And even if you completely understand it, I would like each of the 5 of you to come up with one good question about the tools of artistic critique assignment and one good question about the PowerPoint. Even if you know the answer, and the reason is we're recording this for everybody else in the class as well. So what's one good question, or give me a couple of good questions about the PowerPoint.
How long should our presentation be?
That's a really good question, Sam. Thank you for asking. The presentation should be, I would say the ideal presentation would be 6 to 8 slides, and maybe the last slide out of those that has your citation list, but that's not completely necessary. But I would say 6 to 8 slides, and those follow the kind of sequence that Lydia and Kira did, where they show like an initial slide that is kind of an introductory one to the artist, and then the rest are from projects that they've done or individual art pieces that they've done. And I would say that your voiceover narration with those slides should be between 5 and 8 minutes, ideally. And I would do everything you possibly can not to go over 10 minutes. It can be a little longer than 8 minutes, but don't do everything you can not to go over 10 minutes. Did I tell you what the record is for lengthwise on one of these?
Yeah, you said 22 minutes.
Yeah. Do not do that, okay? That was awful. Okay, give me another good question.
What should we be putting in our PowerPoint content wise?
I think that's another excellent question, Lydia. PowerPoint wise, I think what you guys did was great because I think Kira included a couple that had quotes from the artist. And I believe if I remember right, Lydia, it was mostly just photos that you did, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's really good. Something else that works well is showing a photo of, like if you were doing Damien Hirst, showing a photo of a shark in a tank, and then having 3 bullet points that you could talk about, where say talk about the shark was the carcass was found or donated. Um, the material that it floats in is fluid, and then the 3rd bullet point is just say mixed reactions, and you use those as talking points where you expound a little bit on the bullet points. So I think those 3 formats for the images are really good. Again, the first format is having an image of the artist or the artwork with a quote. The second format is having just a photo of the artist or the artist's work. And the third format is having a photo like that with bullet points that will help you in your discussion of that image. So that's a good question. Give me a third question.
How many videos do we need to have for the tools of artistic critique?
That's a really good question too. You can do either 1 or 2 videos for the tools of artistic critique. Now, again, we're shifting this. We're not talking about the PowerPoint presentation. The tools of artistic critique, the assignment for portion 3 is to do a critique of one of your own works, and it has to be one of the works that you did specifically for this class this term, or a critique of somebody else's work, and then again, that has to be an example of work by one of the students for this class this term. And several people did 2 videos where they did a 3-minute video about one of their own works and a 3-minute video about somebody else's. A couple people also did just 1 video where they would talk for the first 3 minutes about their own work and then the last 3 minutes about somebody else's. So you can do either 1 video with both of those critiques in it, or 2 videos where you have 1 short video of each of the 2 critiques. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. And if you have any questions, again, go to that playlist and look at the examples and check it out. All right. Any other questions? I'm looking to hear from Abby and Jacob. Now, one question that I get as well sometimes is people don't know how to record the PowerPoint. You can go to your PowerPoint program, and there is an option for recording it and then saving it as either WAV or MOV file. And there are also YouTube tutorials on how to do that. And I'll see if I can find a couple of those and email them as well. Kira and Lydia, would you mind just saying a little bit about how you were able to record your PowerPoint with your voiceover?
I just did mine right in PowerPoint. I had headphones in, and it was really easy. You can pause and you can stop it for each slide. So.
Okay, how did you record it? Was there a specific button in PowerPoint that you hit?
Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but I think there's like a big button that says like record, and then it even, when you click on it, it gives you like a quick tutorial of how to do it.
All right, that sounds great. And then when you save it, instead of saving it as a regular PPTX file, you save it as one of those other extensions, the MOV, WAV, or MP4. And then you send me that file, and I just have to go through it to make sure that there's no really bad swears, and then I can put that up on the YouTube channel. All right, excellent. Lydia, did you go through the same process as Kira did?
Pretty much, yeah.
All right, that sounds great. I did want to mention that I finished doing all the grading and stuff last night, so I'm all up to date on that. And I wanted to reiterate 2 points that I think are really important, because there's a couple people that are stressing quite a bit. One is, in my class, everything is due at the end of term. And I have the due dates on there to kind of help you see how things should be progressing and hopefully get things done. But everything is due at the end of the term. I hope you don't turn anything in all at once, but I don't want you to stress. I know several people have turned in work to let me know that they're doing it, and then they've gone back and redone the work or reworked it, and that's perfectly fine as well. So the first big point is everything is due at the end of term. Second big point is you can resubmit and rework assignments up until the last possible moment of finals day. So 11:59 on the night of the finals day. And actually for us, since our final is going to be on Thursday, the 24th, the last day of the term is Friday, the 25th. So everything is finally due Friday at midnight. And we can even extend that out to Sunday, the 27th at midnight, if you want to do that. But that's when everything will be finally due. And I'm thinking that that's what I will do, is I will let everybody know Sunday, the 27th at 11:59 will be the cutoff. Now, that's an important point. I emailed everybody. Does everybody remember the 3 different time slots for the final that I was proposing?
It was like 7:34.
Yeah, and then the morning one, right? And I'm pulling that up right now because okay, let's see. Okay, I had written in the email the 24th on Tuesday. 24th is actually Thursday. And what the 3 different time slots that I'm proposing for the final are 8 to 9:30 in the morning, 4 to 5:30 in the afternoon, or 7:30 to 9 at night. So those are the 4 times that I'm proposing: 8 to 9:30 in the morning, 4 to 5:30 in the afternoon, and 7:30 to 9 at night. And this is something that everybody has to attend live. So I need everybody to look at those times and determine which one is going to be the best for you, and get back to me as rapidly as you can so that we can finalize the time for that. I have had a couple people proposing different times than that, but those are the 3 times that we have available that we can do the final. And again, that is Thursday, the 24th of June, that we would be doing one of those 3. So please make sure, I've heard back from 3 or 4 people. I need to hear back from everybody that's in the class as to when we do that. If you miss the final, if you're not there live, you will actually lose a whole grade, according to what the department has told me to do. So it is absolutely important that you get back to me and we talk about those times so that we can do a time that everybody can come to. All right? Stressing the importance of the final time. Okay. Which of you 5 have already, or which of you have already written me and or emailed me and told me which final times work best for you?
I have. I said the morning, but any of them would work.
Okay. All right, Lydia, you did also, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Afternoon and night one were best for me.
All right. And then did Sam, Abby, or Jacob, did you guys get back to me at all?
I have
I'm
not
doing
yet,
it
but I
right
do
now.
know it, so I can do it right now too.
Yeah, if you could look at
I'll
those,
do it.
excellent. Yeah, get back to me and let me know. There, depending on how workable this is, if everybody cannot meet at one of those times, I am willing to make the final a little bit shorter and maybe do two meetings to accommodate people. But I need to know right away so I can make plans to do that. Okay, and those were the two main things that I wanted to talk about. On Monday, we are going to be going to the quiz for Module 6. We're going to be talking about colorful cocooning. In the meantime, over this weekend, I would like everybody to look at the research portion of Module 6. Check that out. There are some exceptional artists that are working on that. And I need you to look at it as soon as you can. And then just go over it and be prepared to talk about it on Monday's meeting when we get together. All right? One of the artists is actually a duo, Jean-Claude and her partner, Christo. They actually did something here in Utah. They're the people that are famous for wrapping everything in plastic. And they did wind socks at Navajo Bridge. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about on Monday is the psychology of hiding something. What happens when you find out you're a human being? What happens almost all the time when you find out that you can't touch something? If you're told that you can't touch something, and this is for everybody in this room too, what's the first thing you do when you're told you can't go there or you can't touch it?
When I was in London, I touched Sunflowers by Van Gogh.
You touched the
I
actual.
touched it, which is the stupidest thing I've ever done. But yes, I wanted to touch it because it's at the beach.
That's
There you go.
what is so funny. As human beings, we have something that has been referred to as the monkey mind. We're curious, and the moment that somebody tells us we can't do something, excuse me, most of us will absolutely go out of our way and do everything we possibly can to do what we've been told not to. I think that is, on one hand, it's really pretty funny. On the other hand, if you're a parent or a caretaker watching over somebody and you've told them not to touch the stove, that can lead to some serious trouble. But that's what people want to do. As artists, do we want people to engage with our work somehow and have a conversation with it? This question is for everybody in the room as well. Do we want people to be engaged or invested in what we do?
Definitely.
Definitely. Yeah, we very much do. And the conversation you may think is one-sided, but it's not. We've produced something, person interacts with that, and then they start thinking about it. People can't help but do that. They start thinking about it, and in that sense, their present mind is conversing with the history mind that viewed the thing and is having thoughts about it, and that having thoughts about it is echoing what we did. And so in kind of a weird, odd way, they are having a conversation with us, even though we're not present, because they are thinking and conversing with themselves about the work that we produced. So we very much want people to be engaged with it. When you hide something, when you occlude something, when you wrap something, that monkey mind of the viewer is engaged. Whether or not they want to be interested, they can't help it. They become interested, and they start wondering what's on the other side of the wrapping, what's on the other side of whatever's being hidden. And without doing anything extra on your part, you are essentially forcing, by using psychology, that person to react and interact with the thing that you've produced. Isn't that interesting? Oh, hi, Michaela.
Hi.
I think it's fascinating that, and it's a little bit ironic, where in the act of hiding something, you are forcing people to be engaged with it. Can anybody think of a good example of this? Not necessarily with our work, but with anything? Chelsea, what happens when you tell your child that they can't open the present?
They will open presents.
They have to know what's inside.
They will open other people's presents too. I dealt with that one.
Oh, that's awesome.
Can't open mine, but you never said I can open yours.
When my 4 daughters were growing up, they got really good at rooting around the house and finding where the presents were stashed for birthdays and other holidays. And I dawned on me after a while that if they got a hint, if they got any sort of a whiff that I had brought something home that they weren't supposed to look at yet, they would search until they found it. And so I started practicing being completely nonchalant and never thinking about whatever it was that I got them as a present. And when they stopped thinking that something was being hidden from them, they stopped searching. Now, the downside of that is there were several times that I completely lost a present and we didn't find it until we moved from the house. But the upside is that the kids never felt that something was being hidden, and so they stopped looking for it. Jean-Claude and Christo, I think, are exceptional at doing this. When I first interacted with them, I did not think there was much there. I thought they were just being environmental wackos, polluting everything by wrapping it with plastic. But the psychology of the work and the level of thought that goes into it really astounded me. There's another thought that I had that I wanted to talk about. I'm sorry, I can't read my notes and I completely forgot what I was going to talk about, but it had to do with applying the tools of artistic critique as well. Oh yes, now I remember. Okay, and now it makes sense. Switching tack just a little bit. Who has had the experience, and I'd like to hear from like at least three people, just a short example of this experience. Who has had the experience of interacting with something like a work of art that initially you could not stand or you didn't care about, and then by examining it and looking at it over time and thinking about it, after a while you started realizing not only did it have merit, but you actually enjoy it now. Have any of you had that experience? Because, Nicholas, you said that you were an art history class. Were there any examples of artwork in that class that when you first initially saw it, you really didn't care for it, and then later on, as you thought about it, you enjoyed it? Or you appreciate
abstract.
anything abstract?
No, exactly.
Do you appreciate abstraction now?
Yeah. Like Jackson Pollock, I really didn't care
Oh,
for
yeah,
it
definitely.
at
That was-
first, and then as I started thinking about it, I was like, it's not as much of a piece of the work that goes into it, and I gained appreciation for this work.
Like how long did it take that transition?
It's still ongoing.
It's still ongoing. No, but that's an excellent example. We start thinking about context and realizing the work involved. Jackson Pollock was heavily influenced by 14th century Chinese ink splatter painters, but he was also very heavily influenced by Navajo sand painters. And you can really see that in several of his paintings, especially about a third of the way into his career, he started really paying attention to what they were doing with his layering and everything. But that's something you would never know unless you started really looking at his work and learning about it, like Nicholas was saying. Anybody else have that kind of experience?
I did with actually the artist I chose to do my presentation on, Felix Gonzalez Torres, because a lot of his works are just like stacks of paper or a pile of candy. And at first, I just thought that was so silly and like, oh, contemporary art, like what are they doing? But when you learn about it and then just keep looking at it, it becomes really intriguing, and you realize that time is like an ingredient in it, and the only way to understand that is to spend time with the work itself.
Well, I think that's an excellent example, because his pile of candy, when I first saw it, I thought, what a waste. And now I realize it is one of the most moving and sincerely heartfelt pieces I've ever encountered, and I think it's incredibly touching. But yeah, I totally get that. How about you, Kelsey? What experience did you have with this?
Oh, I just had like a comment that, just kind of like you're saying, and this student that's online. I think one of the things I love so much about art is it's such like a multifaceted subject, and then it almost requires your like discipline in other areas of life to understand the context. Like Nick was saying, I think when we like make space within ourselves to be empathetic and to understand a different perspective than ours, then we give ourselves the time and the space to be able to think of the meaning for someone else and not just how we would interpret it. So I don't know. I just feel like art it's such a nuanced topic, but that's what I love about it. Is if you can take like do the mental exercise and the emotional exercise to try and understand something, there are just so many different things. And I don't know, I find that like really touching, because like last night I was watching those videos on, oh gosh, I just heard the word, was there last name Weber?
And Weber?
And Weber, thank you. And if you look at some of her pieces, there's just like this really dull, kind of almost sickly color scheme. A lot of her material is like really frayed and really old looking. But when you understand the context, that a lot of it was just a translation of her experiences in World War II. It makes so much sense. And I feel like understanding art for me, and that art is not always black and white, this is so cheesy, but it helps me to like understand life in a better way, because so much of life is in the gray area.
Were you able to pick that up on the mic?
Yeah, I could hear that.
Okay, great. And I love that perspective, because that ties directly in with the experience about, like Nicholas was saying, completely changing his perspective on abstraction. When we look at things, when we observe them closely, when we consider things like the context, and when we apply things like those tools of artistic critique, not only does it sharpen our own senses in observing something, but it also can really help expand our appreciation overall. Now, art is incredibly nuanced. Who here has heard the phrase, art imitates nature? Everybody? Does anybody know the epistemology of that, where that came from? I will tell you. Are you ready for this? Phaedo, the Platonic, the Socratic dialogue, Phaedo, and that's spelled P-H-A-E-D-O. It's also pronounced Fido. If you go to sacred-text, that's sacred-texts.org, you can look that up and read the whole thing. But that phrase is taken completely out of context. Plato is talking about, he does say art imitates nature, but that is what a lot of people have taken that to mean is real art has to look realistic. It has to be something that you can see out the window. That's what my grandpa felt. He's dead now, so look where it got him. But but that is not what Plato is saying. What the rest of it is, leading up to that, he said that nature is a manifestation of divine will, and art imitates nature. So what he is saying is that art is something made by humans that manifests that universal will. Now, I'll give you a definition of art. And a lot of people say art can't be defined. It can be. And we can use that to argue with. The second code word for today is artsy. A-R-T-S-Y. It's the first half of the phrase artsy fartsy. So the second code word is artsy. The definition of art is the evidence or the process of creative endeavor involving the producer and something outside of their experience and personal sphere. If we look at the application of that, is the evidence or the process. We can hold an object that's art. We can look at a painting that's art. But when somebody is in the zone and doing something, that process is art as well. And that applies to everything. I mean, we've seen, all of us have had a teacher that was absolutely exceptional, that affected countless lives just because they were in the zone. And the thing that makes it, that elevates it from a practice or a thing into art is the fact that the person, the artist, the producer is no longer doing stuff that is just their own. They are doing something that is beyond their normal everyday experience. Now, all of you have had that experience where you look up at the clock and you realize you've been working on your stuff for a lot longer than you thought. Everybody's had that, right? Yeah, that's an example of you're tapping into something outside of your ordinary, normal, everyday experience. And that is regardless of what you're doing. And I've had that, sadly, I've had that happen at work when I'm doing really boring stuff. I just lose track of time. It doesn't always mean that you're producing beautiful work. But it does mean that you're producing something that is a combination of your own awareness and something that's outside of yourself. So whether or not you agree with that definition of art is completely immaterial. It does give us a starting point to talk about what art can be. The point to that little side car discussion is that as we apply the tools of artistic critique, I think that by expanding our vocabulary and our awareness of vocabulary, our awareness of what's going on as we look at things with the intent of describing them, that helps us to become better observers on one part, but it also helps us to become better artists because we are recognizing this artist did all these little things to emphasize their work. That is an awareness that I would like to have in my own stuff. And then it becomes, your own work becomes more profound because your capacity to observe others has increased as well. And Kelsey was talking about how that increased capacity also allows us to increase our compassion and our awareness for difference in other people, difference in others. And I think that's a really good observation as well. Who else has had an experience where at one point they couldn't stand whatever it was and now they actually enjoy it because of that shift in consciousness? One of my experiences with is with Picasso. I just thought he was a massive waste of time. And I would get physically ill looking at his work. I saw, if you look on YouTube, you can see Picasso's demonstration of the Cubist bull. Public television station filmed him on the other side of a glass wall. And what he did was he drew a bull, and then he went through and turned it into a Cubist rendering of a bull. And it was astounding, because he was trained as a classical artist. I mean, he could paint Rembrandt-style paintings, with super realism, and it was just astounding. So he spent like a quick minute and a half drawing this absolutely perfectly proportioned Renaissance-style bull, and then the rest of the video, he's turning it into a Cubist-style animal. And it was astounding to see him do that. And I learned about him when he was roommates with Brock. They were looking for a new art style that would reflect all the chaos and the new modernism that was infecting the world at the time. And they came across rock art from Zimbabwe. At the time, anthropologists from the UK had assumed that this rock art in Zimbabwe, since it was so out of character for what everybody assumed people would be doing, was actually done by Greek sailors that somehow had managed to go down the eastern coast of Africa and then go inland, several miles to find Zimbabwe, and just started doing their artwork. And I thought that was hilarious, because when the English anthropologists did that, they didn't address the question as to why this artwork in Zimbabwe didn't look like anything the Greeks had done. They just assumed that the Zimbabweans couldn't do it. But the thing that was so fascinating to Brock and Picasso is that the Zimbabwean artists were painting what appeared to be people in different points of time in the same setting. And they started thinking, well, how can we express that? How can we express multiple views at the same point in time? And so both Brock and Picasso started developing different ways of doing that. You can see that in their works. And that you can also see it later on with Cézanne is addressing the same issue, and then the Russian futurists are addressing the same issue. But the ones that we think about the most, I think, are, or the one we think about the most is Picasso. And when I realized that, I started getting really super excited. And now when I see his work, it's astounding. Like with that pile of candy, understanding the context makes me cry when I think about it.
Yeah.
When I see Guernica now, full size,
No, I stole your blues.
I'm absolutely astounded. I'm blown away with the intensity of which Picasso did that. And I can totally understand why he had death threats put out on him, and why Guernica is still guarded by guards with machine guns. Because there are political activists who want to destroy it as an act of terrorism, because it is so incredibly powerful. But I'd like you, as you go through the tools of artistic critique, think yourself about those kinds of transitions you've made, and if it is worth re-examining any of the artwork that you despise to see if there is a glimmer of hope, that maybe you can change perspective and look at it differently. But I just think that that's fascinating. Okay, we talked about the tools of artistic critique, we talked about the PowerPoint. I'm going to ask for last questions, and then we're going to wind this up. Before we do that, though, the third code word is chisel. And like the tool. All right, any last questions regarding the PowerPoint and the tools of artistic critique videos? Any last questions?
I don't have any.
Okay. Because we talked about them, we addressed questions. If you guys do have any questions that come up later, email me and I will try to answer it the best I can. All right? All right, until we see each other on Monday, I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Remember to watch the videos in that research section of module number 6. And again, be ready to come to class. We're going to go through the quiz, and I will answer whatever questions you have, and we'll talk about cocooning. All right? All right, we'll see you guys. You guys have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.